Which brings us back to that idea of the curse of being Chinese.
Exactly. They believe this conditioning, this acceptance of control as normal, that's the real curse. And until people realize they have their own agency, their own power to demand better, the cycle will continue.
That's a bold statement, especially given the risks of speaking out in China.
Yeah.
And Red Desert 7 doesn't shy away from the role of technology and surveillance in all this.
Yeah, that's one of the most concerning aspects of their analysis. They argue that the government's use of facial recognition, social media monitoring the social credit system, it's created this unprecedented level of control.
It's like that Orwellian dystopia we always hear about. It's becoming a reality in China, and they bring it to life with these really personal stories.
That's what makes their work so powerful. They weave together these big, complex arguments with these incredibly personal, often heartbreaking stories of individuals, families torn apart, artists, silenced ordinary citizens imprisoned just for expressing their opinions.
Like that story about the young girl in Shanghai who asks her father, "Why can't we stay in our own home? Have we committed a crime?" That one really got to me.
It's heartbreaking, Ray, and it sums up the tragedy of what's happening. These measures justified in the name of safety and unity are creating a climate of fear and paranoia. Even basic desires like having a home or speaking your mind are criminalized.
It's a powerful critique of a system that claims to be acting in the best interests of its people, but is actively taking away their freedoms. But Red Desert 7 doesn't just leave us with a critique. They offer a path forward. What does that look like?
Red Desert 7 envisions a China that embraces a different kind of strength. One rooted in individual liberty, critical thinking, and a commitment to truth. They believe that real progress means embracing diversity of thought, encouraging dissent, allowing for a more open and democratic society.
That's a radical idea in the context of how things are right now in China.
It is, but Red Desert 7 sees this as a turning point. They believe the current situation is unsustainable. This level of control, it can't last forever. They see hope in the growing dissatisfaction, especially among young people who are hungry for freedom and autonomy.
They even question this whole idea of what it means to be Chinese, saying that true patriotism lies in questioning the status quo.
That's a key point. Red Desert 7 wants people to understand that real patriotism isn't blind loyalty. It's about loving your country enough to hold it accountable, to demand it live up to its ideals.
So they're saying real patriotism is about more than just going along with whatever the government says.
Right.
It's about pushing for positive change, even if it means criticizing the way things are. That's a pretty radical idea.
It is, and you know what else is radical? They question this whole idea of Chinese unification being this ultimate good. Like, it's not even up for debate. They're saying it's actually harmful to people.
Yeah, like this pursuit of unity at all costs. It's creating more problems than it solves. And they even compare it to North Korea, which, wow, that's...
It's a stark comparison, for sure.
Yeah.
But it shows how worried they are about where China's headed. They argue that the government uses this idea of unification to silence anyone who disagrees and to demand total loyalty. It's very similar to what we see in North Korea.
So it's like a warning. Be careful about giving up individual freedoms in the name of unity, because look what can happen.
Exactly. And what's even more radical is that Red Desert 7 doesn't just criticize, they actually propose a totally different model for China. Not just reforms, but like a complete reimagining of what China could be.
So instead of forcing everyone to conform, what if China embraced regional differences and gave those regions more autonomy?
Right. What if they explored models that recognize the incredible diversity within China and allow regions to have more control over their own affairs? It's a radical idea, but it fits with their whole thing about individual liberty and freedom.
It's definitely a different way of thinking about China than what we're used to.
Yeah.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around.
It is, and it's important to remember that Red Desert 7's work doesn't give us easy answers. It's more like a challenge. It makes us rethink everything we thought we knew about China. They want us to really confront the hard truths about its past and present, and to imagine a future where the Chinese people can break free from the cycle of oppression and just be free, you know?
Such a powerful message.
Yeah.
It really makes you think. And I have to say, this whole deep dive has been eye-opening. It reminds us to look beyond the surface, to listen to the voices that are being silenced, and to never stop questioning.
I totally agree. And you know what really gets me is this. If Red Desert 7 is right, and this obsession with a unified China is actually holding back its people, it makes you wonder what other ways of governing are out there that would allow for more freedom and self-determination, especially in a place as diverse and complex as China.
It's a question worth thinking about, that's for sure.